Hey everyone, welcome to Life with Marlene. On this channel, I talk about it's my vlogging channel. I am a Florida blogger, and I share my life, my story, things that I go through. I also love going to the beach, taking you guys around, and coming soon is more travel vlogs, hotel vlogs, lots more is coming. And I also put in some challenges from time to time. And I also have the Vlogger Spotlight, where at the Vlogger Spotlight, I highlight amazing channels from all over the world. So let me turn this music down and start today's topic. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hey, Riaz.
Hey, Marlene, I'm good. How are you?
Good.
That's good.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday to you too. I mean, to me, the title of the video is respect your elders, the old fashioned. Absolutely not. You have to respect them either way.
Yeah. So you think do you think it's old fashioned, or you think it's something that must be done, or what is your view?
My view is that it's not old fashioned, it's something that is needed because if, the elders want to be respected, they have to respect the younger people as well. So it's like a both way thing for me, actually. So if the younger people want to be respected, they have to show that respect first. And it's the same way.
Yeah, but you know what happens a lot of the times, what I will say is that older people, they demand the respect, but they show no respect to children or younger people because they don't feel that they deserve it. They just say, I'm older and you do as I say, and then that's the end of it.
Mm, yeah, I think in some way that's kind of a wrong way of thinking because okay, look, if you want to demand respect, that's fine. I mean that the way they, the type of tone they talk and the attitude they display, if they talk like that, they'll get the same thing back. But I can see where you're coming from though.
Yeah, you can see where I'm coming from. It's not something I agree with, you know. I do understand that, now I'm in the phase of my life where I am turned into, looked up to by younger people. I guess you could say, turned into an elder now.
Yeah.
So, younger people will look up to me, but I also am respectful of the opinions of a younger person because, um, we can always learn from one another. It's not just older ones that you can learn from. You can learn from
Abso-
younger people too.
Absolutely. Uh, Absolutely. I mean, the way I was taught was, I know everyone else is, the way I was taught is to like respect my elders and stuff like that. So for me, if I want someone to respect me, I first show that respect to whoever, I'm talking to. So, if I show that respect, then I'll get the same respect back. That's just how I see it. But I can understand what you're saying, though.
Yeah, because a lot of people think that because they're older, they they demand the respect, but they don't treat young people with respect. And I do think that to get respect, you have to give it.
Yeah.
So, you have anything else that you wanted to add to that?
Um, Probably, just hold on a minute. I mean, I just gotta do something downstairs. I'll be back in like maybe a few minutes.
Okay, I'll just drop you down and then you can
Uh,
come back up.
all right, no
Thank you.
problem. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you all so much for joining me every Wednesday here on Open Panel Live, where we have great discussions, great topics. And today we're talking about respecting your elders. Is that old fashioned? I guess I come from the the thinking that respect is earned. I don't care who it is, whether it's a younger person, whether it's an older person, everybody is going to get what they put out. And if you put out a nasty attitude, that's what you're going to get back. Nobody's not just, well, for me, nobody is just going to get respect from me just because you're older. It's how you treat people. And I think a lot of times, some older folks need to learn that you can learn from you can learn from a younger person. You can learn from somebody other than, you know, just somebody older.
All right. I mean, yeah, there's, and yes, you're right. Actually, you can learn from each other. That is so true. I mean, sometimes though, when someone's older than you, doesn't mean though that they're entitled to the respect like that. First, they have to give the respect, and then you know the respect will be given back. I can see where you're coming from, though.
Yeah, but in these days, I think a lot of people like respect is not even something that people they that's like an old fashioned thing to younger people now, like respect whatever. Like who cares just because you're older?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see for nowadays people, I guess, but I mean, it's the way they're raised and stuff. So, like, probably to these people, maybe when they were children, they did not get the respect that they wanted, and when they're older, just pretty much makes them feel that way. So, I think in some way, experience is, a part of that.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's all about like what you've been through in your life, the way that you've been treated. And it's a thing, like nobody really teaches you how to be respectful. It's a word that people throw out there and say, respect me. But really, what does respect mean? What do you think respect means from your perspective?
For me, the best way to respect someone is you don't really have to say the word. For me, it's the way how you treat other people. I mean, for me, in my experience, though, I mean, the way I was taught is to, respect other people and stuff like that. So for me, I think it's just like the way I treat other people. That's how I see respect. It's the way I treat other people because if I treat them respectfully, they'll treat me the same way. That's just how I see it.
Yeah, but my question is sometimes you can treat somebody nice, but then they don't give you the same treatment. Do they deserve to keep being respected, especially if it's things like older people in your family or even on the job? Do you just respect them just because, or do you respect them? because you have to, or do you respect them because they demand it? Like, which one
That's
is
a
it?
very, to be honest, that's a very tricky question, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's very complicated. I think on the job, you have to respect people because it's your job. If you may not like what the management or somebody older is saying
Yeah,
to you, but you put up with it because you need your job. It's
yeah.
not that you really want to respect them, it's because you have to.
Yeah, it's also pretty much like your teachers as well. You have to respect them either way, no matter no matter what it is. You have to respect your teacher because they're there for you, basically. So I can see what you mean, though.
Yeah, and I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's right for people
Yeah,
to be nasty and rude to somebody. Like,
yeah,
when I was growing up, my mom always said it's always easier to you can catch more flies with honey than you can with vinegar. So if you're nicer to people, your people will want to be nice to you too. But if you're nasty, don't get um don't get surprised when you get nasty back.
right, right. Actually, you're right. I agree with you on that point.
Yeah, I
Right.
I don't believe in disrespect. I feel like it's so unnecessary. Like, if
Yeah,
you don't agree with somebody's opinions, you don't like what they're saying, you don't have to take it out on other people. And I know that
yeah,
people are like stressed out, and some people,
right,
even that's their personality, they're just very abrupt and rude. But
right,
I just don't think that you should take out the things that you go through on other people. And then on top of that, they'll be nasty like that. And then they'll say something like, oh, but you need to respect me, even though they don't do things to get respect.
right, right. I mean, actually, this reminds me. So basically, there's this music genre called grime in the UK, and basically, like now, like there are like some older, older gens and stuff like OGs are basically like elders. They pretty much like what are gatekeeping and telling them no, whatever you're making is not we're making and you're not what we're doing. So, they keep doing that for years, and that made more younger people move away to different places, and it made the entire music genre pretty much go underground because these elders, are not willing to, evolve or change. So it's
Yeah.
like that.
And older, I think older people have to learn to listen to younger people. And that's a big problem in, I feel the world.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like an entitlement. Just because you've lived a long period of time doesn't mean people have to respect you, especially if you don't treat people nice. If especially if you're rude to people, that's not an automatic thing. And I understand why some people will think, because I've lived all these years, I have something to add. But people aren't going to come to you and listen to you if you don't treat people respectfully.
Right, right.
Hey, Lisa.
Mm, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't understand that at all. Why
Meaning,
I don't understand why is it when people get older, why they become so mean and aggressive and nasty like that? Is it because they're frustrated that they're older and they're just take it out on everybody because maybe they don't feel good, they take it out on other people?
mm,
I don't
I
know. I
think
find
it's
it
also
hard
for some
sometimes to deal with older
insecurity.
people.
Okay. Sorry, Jessica, if I'm just about to say that, I think it's also something to do with some insecurities and stuff, because they know the more older they become, the best years of their life, or like they say, their prime or something is moving past them, and they see someone else doing, the exceeding them, or like, doing something different that they didn't do, back then. They're kind of like missing those times. So it's like a bit of nostalgia and some bits of like insecurity inside. So that's why they give that type of attitude, because they miss those days when they were young.
Yeah, but I don't understand still why people think that it's okay to be rude. Is it really? So I guess my question is it ever acceptable to be rude as an
No,
older person or an elder? Is that an acceptable? Is it
no.
acceptable to be rude, or is there times where you need to be rude?
No, I don't think it's acceptable, but in some way it can be. But I'm more with you, actually. I agree with you. It's not really acceptable either way. Whether you're older or younger, that type of behavior to me is not acceptable either way.
It's not acceptable. Well, I understand, like, sometimes you do need to check people. You need to check people and tell them, like, don't talk to me that way, or you got to put people in their place sometimes. But I
Yeah.
think you can always check people, but you don't have to be rude.
Right, right. I I agree. You're right, actually. I see what you mean though. I mean, I don't think it's right, but also sometimes though I like to do this thing where I want to understand what someone else is thinking, you know? Whatever they're thinking is not what I'm agreeing, but I'm trying to understand what they're trying to think and what they're saying and stuff. I like to try that.
Yeah, you got to try to understand others. And I think sometimes that older people don't try to understand younger people. They don't try to understand. And I think it was the word that was talking about this topic yesterday, that people don't try to understand. They just think that the world is the same that it has always been. And life
Right,
changes. Life is not
right,
the same that it was when you were 18, 21, or whatever. So now
right,
that you're older, you think life is as simple as it was when you were 18 or 21,
right,
and it's not. It
right,
changes. And we have to talk to the young people, and we have to show them, this is how it was when I was younger, and
right.
ask them, how is it now?
Right, I
And
actually agree
people don't
with
and older
you.
people don't ask questions, and why. They make assumptions.
Right, I think sometimes though it's not an excuse for what they're doing, but in a way to try and understand what they're thinking, probably make assumptions though is because they struggle to understand, because they're struggling to understand what the younger person is saying. I don't excuse that behavior, but to understand what they're thinking, I see to understand what they're thinking. Yeah, I don't agree, but I can understand why in some way. Very complicated to explain.
Yeah, but it still doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Maybe somebody else, maybe in the chat, can explain that to me. It doesn't make any sense to me why older people are so rude and nasty to younger people for like no
Right,
reason. And then at the end of the day, they want to be helped and they want respect and demand it, but they're rude and nasty, so nobody wants to be around them.
right, right. I'm agreeing with you. I kind of, this question was really interesting, and also I'm finding it a bit difficult to understand it, just like you, of how they do it. And also, the one thing about, some older people give them mixed messages. They'll give them, they'll be nice a little bit, but then also mean another minute. I don't understand the mixed messaging.
Yeah, I think it's also some people, they have split personality, or mental illness or something going on, why they're so disrespectful. And
Right.
I think as people get older, you start developing things that maybe in the past, maybe you didn't have certain mental illness, but you can develop it as you get older because things start changing in your mind mentally. So it could be that too.
Right.
So, so thanks for coming up.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me up. All right. Bye. Thanks for
Okay,
having me.
you're welcome. Bye. So let me get back into what we were also talking about. Respect is a thing. Respect is a big thing, and I don't believe it's something that people have to get. Nobody deserves to get respect, in my opinion, unless you treat people right. You are only going to get what you put out there. If you get nasty, I think you're going to get nasty back. And people don't want to accept that. People don't want to believe it, that if you treat people nasty, you're going to get it back. I don't think it's right to demand that people respect you. It's not right to demand respect. I think it's something that you hope for people to respect. You want people to respect you, but as an adult, you know, I think as adults, we have to show the younger generation better. Even if they don't do right, we have to show them um, that I can do better. You have to show them, and people don't know how to communicate. I think that that's a big problem with most people. People don't know how to communicate. In communication, you can think that you're communicating really well, and getting your point across, and you really aren't. You really aren't. You think you are. And if you are demanding people do things and you always want things, but you're never giving anything back, that's not a relationship. That's not a friendship. And people have to learn that it's not just about what they want. It's not just about what you want as a person, as a human being. Yeah, you believe the tone of voice actually matters. Yeah, it's about how you say things, because you can ask for something, you can make a request, but how do you make a request? What is your tone of voice when you ask for something? Are you shouting? How are you talking? What is your word choice? Are you being aggressive? Are you yelling? I don't think anybody is going to show respect to somebody who is always demeaning another person. And every human being deserves respect. It doesn't matter if you're 5 years old or you're 100 years old. Everybody deserves respect, and to be respected, and to be talked to in a nice way. But I do understand, why some older people will feel the way that they feel about trying to get respect. I was raised that way, from a child, that when an elder said something to you, or an older person in general, that you just were supposed to listen to whatever they said, like no questions asked. But most young people, that's not good enough. They have to know why do I have to respect you, or why would I respect somebody who doesn't have good actions or talks to people any kind of way. So I can see both sides of it. I do think it's important to listen to the elders, because they most of them have a lot of wisdom, but also, um, the elders have to learn to talk to the young people, and to be respectful of their opinions. It's not just because you're older that your opinion is the only opinion. Like, your opinion is the standard or the epitome of what is acceptable. Just because you feel a certain way strongly about something, a younger person can have an opinion and feel strongly about what they feel too. And we can't just take it over as an older person and say, because I'm older, that this is the only opinion that matters. We do have to learn as adults to talk to younger people, to listen to their opinion. Some younger people have some good opinions out there. They have some good thoughts, and we can learn some things from them. We can learn from each other, but respect has to be on both sides. It's not just an older person say, respect everything I say and do. No, because I've seen some older people, and like my dad used to always say, there's no fool like an old fool. There's some older people that they're not operating on a good vibe. Like they don't they act crazy, they do crazy things. They're not respectful of other people's thoughts and opinions. And if you can't respect somebody else's thoughts and opinions, don't be surprised when you're not getting respect back. Respect is a two-sided thing. It's not something that just happens just like that. Respect comes from, time. I think you do have to put in time and earn people's respect by the way you treat them, by keeping your word, by being, honest with other people. All of that goes into how you're respected, why you're respected. And if you're not getting respect, I would say as an older person, the reason why you may not be getting respect as an older person is because maybe you need to work on something about your personality. Maybe your personality is harsh. Maybe you're a hard person to deal with. Maybe you're a negative person. Maybe you've been this way for such a long time. I hear people all the time, they say things and they say, this is who I am. But just because you're a certain way doesn't mean that it's a good thing. We can always grow. It doesn't matter our age. We can always learn something. We can always gain knowledge. We can always improve. And I do appreciate the younger people for their resiliency, for, if they see they need to do something and learn something, they just go for it and do it. And I get it. The older that you get, you kind of want to stick to what you know, or what's comfortable. It's easier to do that. It's easier to not have to make any changes and to think things should be the way that you're used to. But life changes and people can change too. So I always want to encourage awareness, being aware of who you are, being aware that you can make changes in your life, being aware that other people have opinions, that you can have an opinion from somebody else. It can be different from yours, and it can be okay to say somebody else has an opinion and learn to get along with them. Just because somebody has a different opinion than yours, it doesn't mean their opinion is wrong, and it doesn't make your opinion wrong. You know, you got to let people feel how they want to feel. At the end of the day, that's what respect is all about. Respect is all about um, being who you are and then letting other people be who they are. And then you come to a consensus. You say, "Oh, that's how you feel." And then you share how you feel. And sometimes you're not going to agree. Sometimes you're going to get upset and you'll say, "How could a person think the way that they think?" But everybody goes through different situations, different problems. There's lots of different cultures, and there's lots of different cultures and different belief systems. So you can't think that because you come from this belief system that everybody is going to accept your beliefs. Everybody has different thinking, and some people have, there's so many different religions and belief systems and opinions, but you gotta respect the opinions of other people and don't try to push your perspective on other people and think if they don't agree with me, then they don't like me. I know a lot of older people, and they come from that belief system that if you don't agree with me, then you don't respect me or you don't like me. They take it inwardly to take away from themselves that if a person doesn't like what I talk about, what I stand for, what I believe in, then I can't deal with them. And that is closed minded. And there's a lot of people out here who are closed minded to the opinions of others. And I can understand why people feel that way because they think this way and they think this is what another person should think too. But if you're a reasonable person, I think I try to be a reasonable person. I try to listen to other people. And there's a lot of times I don't agree with what somebody else is saying. I don't agree with somebody else is saying. And especially some things that older people say. I may not agree with it, but I can always be respectful of somebody else's opinions and don't think that I have to drag onto mine and say, my opinion is the only opinion. My opinion is the standard and the only perspective that gains respect. See, on both sides of the coin, older people have to respect a younger person, and a younger person has to respect a younger person too. We have to respect the opinions of each other, and the clash always happens between a younger person and an older person when one does not respect the other's opinions. And it's not just a matter of because I'm older, I demand this respect, or because I'm younger, you don't understand things. It's both respecting each other's opinions. And I don't think that it's even possible for people to respect one another if somebody is degrading, like degrading or being nasty and saying, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, or that doesn't make any sense, or that's stupid. That's what they're going through. That's what that person believes. And as a younger person or an older person, you got to give people their opinion. You got to let them have their opinion. You can't change what somebody else thinks. And I think that goes to relationships a lot of times, romantic relationships and friendships. We think that we can change people, and you can't change what somebody else thinks. Even sometimes it's difficult for ourselves, as a human being. I know as a woman, I find it hard to change something inside of me that I've been doing for a long time. Imagine somebody else. How do we feel that we can change somebody else's thinking and perspective when that's what they think and they believe? I just think you got to come to a fork in the road at some point, and you got to say, this is what I think. That's what you think. This is what I say. This is what you say. And try to get to the bottom of it. Why do people think the way they think? And I never used to understand that growing up as a child. Why don't older people want to have conversations and share things? A lot of older people, they have a wealth of knowledge. A lot of older people, they have a wealth of knowledge and so many things that they could teach the younger people, younger generations, but they don't. And I believe that's the reason for the downfall of businesses and lots of things, uh, recipes, and they're harming the younger generation because they're not willing to say why They know what they know, how they learned what they learned, so that they can get their wealth of knowledge so that it can continue for another generation. Because if you don't share when you are older how you got where you got, why you operate how you operate, what you learned from it, then you're going to have another generation of children who are going to make the same mistakes. Or maybe I shouldn't say mistakes, but they're going to keep making wrong decisions that maybe you could save them from. And I never like when an older person just says, do what I say and not as I do. And that's really closed minded thinking, to tell somebody to do something, but you don't explain why. Everybody needs to know why things operate the way they operate. And I can understand, maybe from the way you were raised, maybe that was like a no no, but things change and we can change as adults. I was raised that way, to just tell people, tell somebody younger than you, do as I say, go and do this, go and do that, giving out demands. But isn't it much better to talk to, a younger person? Talk to a younger person like they're a human being too. Sometimes it gets to be like an older person acts like they're a dictator, like their rulership, their thinking is the only one that matters. And it doesn't go well that way. It always goes left, it goes sideways, and people have hurt feelings. People don't get along, and there will be no respect to be had on either side when an older person doesn't listen, they don't talk to, they don't teach the younger people. And you have to. You have to teach younger people, because if you don't, it's going to be a major problem. Hey, Angela, how are you doing? Good to see you. I appreciate you being here. Happy Wednesday. Hey, Wanda, how are you? Good to see you. Happy Wednesday. Thank you all so much for being here. If you could hit the like, I would appreciate it. And I would love to hear what you guys have to add to this discussion. So, how was everybody raised? Were you raised in, do as I say, not as I do? Was that the way you were raised? Or were you raised where young people were allowed to voice their opinions and say how they felt and the things that they liked and the things that they didn't like? When I was younger, I was never raised like that. My opinion was never valid. However I felt about something, nobody ever asked me what I wanted, what did I want to eat, what did I want to wear, what did I like. None of that was even a part of conversation. It was just like, this is what we have, this is what we're going to do, and demands were put out there. And if I didn't, it was going to be the switch for me, which I can understand. Maybe that's how they were raised, that's how their parents treated them. But at a certain point, I do think it's important to have conversations with younger people. And you got to teach them, okay, yeah, you can say it's not good to do this, but tell them why. Because this can happen and that can happen, and I don't want that to happen to you. See, when you do that, you're widening their perspective. It's not just like a yes, it's not just like a demand, like you must do this. Because most of people, when you give somebody a demand, they're usually not going to want to listen to you. People always want to have the freedom of choice, to be able to choose. I think that that's really important, to that's a form of respecting a younger person too, giving them the right to choose whether they want to do this or that. And that's a good perspective. I feel like that trains a younger person for the future as an adult to be responsible. You help them with their life skills. Because if you just keep saying, do this and do that, and you don't explain why, when they get to be older and somebody else wants to know why, they won't even know how to have a conversation. They won't even know how to defend themselves. So we have to also, you know, teach them life skills, not just a robotic type of life. Don't train children to be robots. Do as I say, do as I say, do as I say. And I'm not going to explain why. And I will also say it's not rude for a child to ask a question. It's not rude for a child to ask a question. When I was younger, that was always the thing. If I asked why something was the way it was, that was looked down, that I was being disrespectful. And I've never got that. Why is it disrespectful to want to know why I need to do whatever it is? Like when my dad got on the level of saying, turn off the light because when the light is on, the light bill goes up. And I didn't know that. Right? You know, when you're a child, you don't have that knowledge and awareness. You don't understand certain things. Or instead of just saying, don't put your hand on the stove, don't put your hand on the stove because you will get burned. Having explanations is very important, and it helps a child. It helps them to make better decisions. Give them the choice. Depends on what is poured into the child and how also. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I understand that some people really don't know how. Some some people, you know, as an older person, you were never taught how to have conversations. You were never taught to that a younger person has a perspective and opinion because you were never shown that you had a perspective and opinion, and it turns into a cycle of that's what your mom did to you or your dad did to you, and then that's what you do to your children and they do to their children. So it's a cycle of, you know, brokenness. Lots of factors. Great and valid points, Life with Marlene. Thank you, Wanda. Yeah, I feel like it's very important to have these type of conversations. It's very important to ask why. Hey, Leticia, how are you doing? Welcome, everybody. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. What is your perspective on it? Because growing up, I never got the opportunity to voice how I felt. It was always, if I even said something, I was talking back, I was being rude, and and that's a no no. Why is it a no no to ask why things operate the way they operate? And why is it such a big deal to teach a child? Why is that hard to teach a child why something is bad or why something is good? Why is it good for you? And what made it good? What did you learn from that? What lesson did you learn from it? And when you do that and you have a conversation and an opinion about something, it really allows a child to say, oh, okay, now that they can reason and they can understand. And when a child doesn't understand something, most of the time that's the reason why they're not listening to you. Because if something is not going to help them, they're not going to want to listen to what you have to say. Hold on one second, guys. Yes, Wanda, when they can reason and and understand, key. Yeah, they just don't. I just have never understand. I feel like we're making younger generations broken because adults aren't having conversations that they need to have. When you learn something, I think I don't know. When you learn something, I feel like you need to teach something. And I know that it's hard, maybe if you weren't raised that way, to be in the mode of teaching. It's hard to teach, but I do think you should have conversations like, this is what happened to me, and this is why it happened to me because of this or that. And I don't want you to go down this road, or I want you to do better than I did. And a lot of parents don't have those type of conversations because they don't think it's important. A lot of parents, they say, well, nobody taught me, so they feel like that makes it okay. Just because you didn't learn certain things, you should also want your children or grandchildren or any children that you're around, you should want your children to be better. I have a go-to question. Tell me your thoughts. Okay. Well, that's good, Wanda. That's good. And I wish more elders or older people would ask children what they think. I wish more older people would widen, their level of reasoning and thinking like that, because I see a lot of older people and they say, I'm not telling them nothing, or make them find out on their own, or nobody told me that, or I don't agree, or I'm not open with that, and or I don't want to talk about it. So if you always keep going through where you never want to talk about anything, it doesn't that continue to make a cycle of broken communication between younger people and older people? I think it causes brokenness to continue for generations, because I know it has happened in my family. Um, two people in the family, they fell out and they stopped talking for something ridiculous, and then you don't even know why. As a child, you're not talking to your auntie or uncle or cousin because of what happened to them. It's like you're upset and you're mad at something that makes no sense. It's never been explained. There's no conversations that were had, no communication. You just know, oh, we don't talk to, or we don't deal with that person. And I don't think that that's good. Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes it's that way, Riaz. Sometimes in family members, you just have one person or two people that you can have a conversation with. And sometimes there's nobody in your family. Sometimes you have to search for your circle of people that you can communicate with. Not everybody in your family is good and healthy for you to communicate with. Some people just aren't. It took a long time when I started, having conversations and saying how I felt about certain things. It wasn't easily acceptable. It wasn't easily acceptable. Like, they didn't want to explain things to me, the older people. They just said, oh, nobody told me that. Or why are you questioning me? It's not questioning. I just wanted to know why. Why is it that it's why? Why, like, explain some of the things that you've been through in your life. And I wish more older people would share things that they've been through, so that you can help somebody, avoid certain situations. If more older people would share their thoughts and opinions on their life. And I know why people don't do it, because they don't want people to know mistakes they've made in their life. People don't want other people to know their personal business, because they say it's none of your business to share what I've been through. But how are you going to make stronger individuals in society if everybody keeps making the same decisions when it could be something that could be avoidable? I love to share my old lady, learn knowledge with younger people that are interested. Yeah, but most people aren't, Angela. And I find that to be very unfortunate, very disconcerting to me. It baffles me. Like, why don't people just share? Share. And I know why younger people don't share their opinions, because it's not it's not readily accepted. Like, if you say something and it's different from their opinion, they don't want to hear it. A lot of people have closed-minded thinking. They only want to accept something that they believe in, something that they understand. And once something is not where they understand, they just close them off. Yeah, get it out. Don't hold in your feelings. People hold in their feelings, and it's not good. I've said it over and over again through all these years. I personally believe that holding in your feelings gives you some types of issues, and health problems. It's not good. I think that it leads to, high blood pressure, tension, all kinds of diseases, because you can't bottle in everything that you're feeling, everything that you're going through. Well, you can. Of course, you can bottle in how you feel about certain things. Everybody can. You can always hold in how you feel, but it won't be good for you. It won't be good for your health. I feel like it would be so much better if older people would share their wisdom with younger people, and younger people would just, do the same, share what they're going through, but sometimes it's not acceptable. Yeah, I understand, Riaz. Sorry that happened to you. Okay. Thank you so much, Angela. And I just wanted to have a conversation like this, because I find that most of the time older people, they have a closed-minded thinking, and I don't agree with that. It's not just about your perspective. Life changes. Things aren't the same. Every day life changes. And as an older person, we should be willing to teach a younger person, mentor them, help them to not make the same mistakes that we did, so we can have younger people making better decisions, being stronger individuals, being better communicators, being responsible. All of that can't happen until older person says, I'm going to share with you something that I went through. I'm going to share why I don't do this or that, especially those who are going down a bad path. They're doing some things that's very dangerous, especially those inner city youth. They need a lot of mentoring, they need a lot of help, but it takes older people or elders to open up and want to share. That's usually the issue. More older people do not want to share because they don't want other people to know their story. They don't want anybody to know what they've been through, because they don't want to be judged. Who wants to be judged? Nobody. But also, young people, they get judged. They get judged for their thinking. They get judged for having a more open mind, maybe, than what you have, or they have more of an open perspective, maybe, where yours is more closed. But it's all about respect. Respect comes on both sides of the equation. Older people have to respect younger people, and younger people have to respect older people. Yeah, the two can't operate without each other, because the knowledge that an older person has, it can really help a younger person. And also, uh, an older person can learn from a younger person and widen their perspective and learn something from them too. So, both sharing their opinions, being respectful of each other's opinions, it's really going to help. I think it would impact the entire world if there was mutual respect on both sides, not just people saying, because I'm older, respect me. Also, younger people really need to be respected too. Younger people, their thoughts matter. Their thoughts matter. That maybe there's some things that maybe you didn't know. I have to question myself too as an older person, that the way that I think about certain things, like your definition of how school is, your definition of relationships, it's not always the way it was when you were the age that they were. So we can't pass judgments and think that things are the same, because life changes, people change, society changes, and you just got to keep up. You got to keep up, and if you don't, you get left behind. And I just wanted to have this conversation because I'm tired of seeing the brokenness between older people and younger people, when so on both sides could benefit so much if they would be willing to have conversations. If an older person would say, hey, let me tell you about this situation. Let me tell you about relationships. Let me tell you about finances. Let me tell you about this and that. And then a young person would just give them time to share their thoughts and opinions. But then also the younger person would say to the young person, okay, but now this is how life is. And this is what's going on. And this is how things are. So respect on each side mutually is important. And I just can't take, I just don't agree with disrespect on any side. An older person should not disrespect a younger person, and a younger person should not disrespect an older person. It goes on both sides, but it has to be both having the time to listen to one another, listen to one another's opinions. Younger people have great opinions, older people have great opinions. And I hear people say all the time, we have to agree to disagree. No, not really, because some things that you're not going to ever accept it, but you can listen to it. You can widen what maybe you thought, maybe the assumption that you were making about how life is from where you are in your level of consciousness. We can always learn something. We can always learn from a younger person. Thank you so much, Wanda. Have a great day. Unfortunately, it's going to get worse before it gets better. I'm optimistic, but there are unseen forces playing the role of divider. Yeah. Yeah, I know there's always going to be something, there's always going to be something that's going to cause a division, but it does take, you know, some older people saying, um, I was raised this way. I was taught that things are this way, but I'm willing to have conversations. I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to teach, but also a younger person too, saying, I'm going to listen to not listen, but I'm willing to hear you out, and vice versa. An older person be willing to hear out a younger person and hear what they have to say, even if it's different from yours. And that's what most people don't have. Most people can't operate on that level if you don't accept what they accept, or if you don't think what they think or believe what they believe. So then it's automatically shut down and shut out, and you are deemed a bad person or rude or disrespectful. And it's not none other than uh, differences in opinions. There's nothing wrong with having a different opinion. There's nothing wrong with having a difference in opinion. But people don't know how to have a difference in opinion. They just think, oh, that's how you feel, then I'm not here. I'm gone. Hey, the word. Good to see you. Happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining. The grandparents are around my age these days, 40s, and that's an issue. Well, actually, Stat, I've heard grandparents now are in their 30s. Because uh, children are having children earlier. So say you had your kid at 16. By the time your kid gets to be 16, they're having kids too. So you know people are becoming grandparents earlier than they used to. Everything is changing, but are people, once you get to that age where the script is flipped, and you are now in the seat of being an elder, being in the position to teach and heal, you know, and mend fences and have conversations. Are you willing to? A lot of older people are not willing to have the conversation. They just say, this is what it is. I'm not going to bend. And this is what I think and believe. And that's it at the end of the day. Uh, um, I'm, I'm one of the adults that need to start acting like adults and stop trying to fit in with these young folks. I believe this is the major reason they don't respect us or the elders. Mm, yeah, that's I feel like that's crazy. I really do. I feel like it's crazy. And I see it all the time, Leticia. And you're so right. I do see that there's no things, not that there's none, but it's slowly going away. All of the roles of you know, the big mama in the family, someone who's going to be like the matriarch of the family, holding the family together and saying, it's time we have this conversation, it's time we do this and that. Um, because uh, the roles have changed now. Like, I even hear a lot of parents now are saying things like, don't call me mom, call me Linda, or whatever the father's name, call me by my first name. And I'm not telling anybody what to think. If this is your opinion, then of course you're welcome to have your opinion. But my opinion, I don't think respect can be had by um, letting children talk to an adult like they're on the same level, because I don't think that it's not the same level. I earned all the years that I have under my belt. I've earned it. So, for me, children are only going to operate from what they've been taught. And some children were never taught to respect, like, there's no difference between an older person and a young person. We're on the same level. And I don't agree with that. And maybe I'm an old fashioned person, but I don't think that it's respectful for a younger person to look at an older person and call them by their first name. That everybody is different, but I don't like that. I think for me, I feel like that's rude. I'm not saying you got to call me, you know, uh, whatever. Back in the day, we used to call older ladies auntie or grandma. I'm not saying I want that title, but I'm not going to let a child call me by my first name. And sometimes the parents let their children, because the parents called me Marlene, that I, like a little 5-year old call me Marlene, and I said no, my name is Miss Marlene. Miss. And the parents are looking all surprised, like, what? I guess everybody is different, but that's just my perspective. Too young to teach them. My sons didn't lose their moral code because me and my family members stay. I understand that. I understand that. You got to be, you got to get on them, and some children need more than others. Yeah. Don't let the world raise them. Easier said than done. Yeah. And that's why I definitely believe in community. Uh, I think a community is important. I remember when I was a child, I definitely had a community that raised me, neighbors, even adults in the street. If you weren't doing something right, they would just call you out, like, you better stop running in here, or why are you doing that? Or fix your clothes, or you need to do this or that. And it wasn't anything disrespectful, you know? But for me, I felt like life was much better back then because everybody, people used to look out for each other. And I know that in some communities, smaller communities, even a lot of places in the Caribbean, it's still that way. But we're getting further and further from that in the United States, where people don't want anybody to say anything to their child. They're like, you better mind your own business. Now that's looked out as disrespectful. Where for me personally, I liked when I was older that there were rules about right and wrong, you know, talk to each other in a respectful way. Even things like saying good morning to people, like, people are rude now. People will be walking past you, look at you in the eye, and keep walking. I guess it's the Southern in me. Like, it's just some things I can't dig. Leticia says, got 40-year-old men still sagging their pants and talking to their children like they are their peers. Got females wearing 3 or 4 clothes around their daughters. Yeah. And sleeping with their daughter's boyfriends. Yeah, it's just so much going on in society, and I understand that respect can't be had from a younger person. A younger person can't respect an older person if they're still doing the things that they're doing. I've seen a lot of older people. They're still acting like a kid. They're acting their shoe size, not their actual age. And that's crazy. That's so crazy. That's so crazy to me. Some people never grow up. They're living out their childhood because some of them, they never got to be a child, especially those who had children young. They never got to be a child. So by the time their child is growing up, they finally say, okay, now is my time. I'm going to have fun and dance. But you're not setting an example to your children about how an adult acts. You see the grandparents now. The grandparents are dropping it like it's hot with their grandkids, and they got their throwback on, and oh, and they got their Jordans on, and it's just, no, life has changed so much, and I know that life is changing. It's always going to change, but there's certain things that I feel like should be a staple, like grandparents should do certain things, nurturing kids, um, their grandkids, and molding them into being good citizens and having hard conversations, but also giving them the love that maybe their parents don't give them. At the end of the day, I do think it comes down to families. I think it comes down to families wanting to, hmm, families making a decision that I'm going to I'm going to get some values for my family, and then adapt them to your own family. That just because the society is, we live in a microwave society and people are going fast and want things fast, that does not mean that that has to be the case for your family. You can choose to slow down and press pause if you want to. Choose to, eat dinner together as a family. Have family vacations. Have conversations without any devices at the dinner table, or if you are spending time together, turn your phones off. I think it had some at some level you got to have quality time with your family outside of devices and computers and TVs. Not that um, devices are a problem, because they do have their place. Everything has its place, being entertained by the TV, by, social media. That all has a place. But when we let it take over too much, I think that there lies the problem. Hey, Eunice. Good to see you. Happy Wednesday. Yes, all is well. When I was young when I had my babies, but I don't carry myself in that manner around my children. And I don't act like I'm their friend. I made make that very clear to my boys. Okay, Leticia. Yeah. So you acted in a way to get respect. And I think a lot of times, a lot of people think, oh, I am older and I can do what I want. But also, that rubs off on the younger generation. When you have that attitude, there's consequences to that. You can't say, I'm going to do whatever I want as an adult and have a nasty attitude. And then when your children do the same thing you're doing, you're upset about it. If you want to have respectful children in this society, you have to act like you are preaching and teaching to your children. The stuff Leticia is saying, I never was surrounded by that type of energy for extended periods of time. Obviously, I ain't got no goody two shoes, but my sister and my brothers avoided it. Put our kids on. Mm. Had my first son at 19. Okay, Eve. So you had to grow up fast. My mom had me at 21. My dad had me at 21. My mom had me at 23. Wow, young parents. But I do think at a certain period of time, all of that stuff is fun, dropping it like it's hot. But also, I think there's something wrong with doing those things as an adult, having your fun. But my issue and problem always lies that as an adult, you could be doing adult things, but don't do adult things in front of children, you know? And I know that this is a hot topic. It's probably going to get me into some trouble with some people, and they probably won't like me for it. But you can't be having 7 and 8 boyfriends, girlfriends coming and going from your house and then expecting your children to respect you. I see it all the time that people, they have relationships, and everybody who comes in, the especially the women, they bring in a new person. They confuse the children, telling the children this is their daddy. Everybody is their daddy. Now that's going to mess up a kid's mind. You got to be careful who you bring around your children, because they're going to think that's the standard. Just get a new person, bring them in, get a new person and bring them in. You're not teaching them standards, loyalty, all of that stuff. Thank you so much, East. Have a great day at work. I had my first child at 36. My parents had me at 16. Yeah. Yeah. My parents were older parents. Of course for me, but not for my older siblings. I think my mom had her, there's 10 of us. And I think my mom had her first child at 2022. Yeah. I think the first one was 22, and my mom had me at 41. So, me and my sibling, my oldest sibling is 20. I think she's 21 years older than me. I think so. Oh, okay, Riaz. My adult sons have avoided having children so far. I'm grateful because I want them to enjoy their young adulthood before bringing children into the world. Yeah, I think that that's something. I always say, you really know how don't know and appreciate what your parents have done for you until you become a parent. And that's real talk. You used to I remember being a child and thinking I knew so much, thinking I understood so much, but life is a complete different perspective when it's you that becomes the parent. So that's a good thing, Riaz. And I wish more people would focus on themselves, and not just for marriage, but also for relationship in general, romantic relationship. People hop from relationship to relationship before they even figure out what was the reason why the relationship ended. What did I aid in the relationship? Why didn't it work? And is there something that I can do to improve myself? And most won't have that type of conversation because they're not willing to do anything to make changes. See, but I'm talking to those who are on that level, who are trying to elevate and become better. Because if you keep settling for the same things, you're going to get what what you're putting out there. So if you keep doing the same things, you're going to get the same results, and you're going to keep choosing the same people. And not everybody is good for you. It's a certain type of person that you could like, but that's not necessarily what you need. That's something that I had to learn myself. You can like a person, like for me, I always have liked the bad boys, but the bad boys is not what I need. Not everything that we see, like they always say, not everything that glitters is gold. Something can look appealing to you, but that doesn't mean that that's what you need. Hmm. We are Southern, and using manners is huge. Still here. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Being a gentleman, open doors is instilled in them. When I'm around, anyways, and I've gotten compliments about their manners. Well, that's good. That's good. I see it sometimes. I'm in the South too, and I see it for the most part. But when I go up north, when I go up north to where I was born, it's a whole different. That's a whole different vibe. People are different up there. It's like they're a different type of human being. Like no respect, no manners, no checking on one another. Just I don't know. The North is not my vibe. It's no shade to anybody, but the North is not my vibe. I'm a Southern girl through and through. Um, and we have our problems in the South too, but I like being around respectful people. I like to when people say good morning and hello and have a nice day. I like that kind of stuff. So that's just my opinion. So I'm just going to put the link one more time. Anybody who would like to come up and post the link, if you want to share your opinion, you're welcome to come up. I was always growing up. I was always growing up that way, to be respectful of my elders. But I can also say that not all the elders that I was forced to respect deserved it. Some of them were rude. They were nasty. Some people were weirdos. Yeah, there's a lot of older people and they're weirdos. And that's something that I teach my nieces and my nephews. Just because somebody is older and they tell you something, that doesn't mean that you got to listen to what they say. And if somebody doing some shady stuff, you don't have to do it and get away from them. You got to have those type of conversations with young people too. It's not everybody deserves respect because they're not right mentally. They're messed up in the head. So you got to have those conversations with young people too as an adult. And while I didn't have that growing up, I like to give that to younger people. Respect yourself and don't let other people disrespect you. Don't let an adult disrespect you or make you do things that you don't want to do, things that make you feel uncomfortable. Because growing up, I didn't have that. I wasn't taught that I should respect my own self and I don't have to listen to other people and that I could have other thoughts and opinions from others. I it took me a long time to get to that place in my life. Yeah, up here different. When my dad moved to Detroit, he said it's different here, and and we from Pennsylvania, but it's like the South where I came from. Oh, all right. Yeah, everything is different everywhere. I just I just don't like I hear older people complain all the time about how disrespectful young people are, but they get mad when I say, but also a lot of older people are disrespectful to young people. It goes both ways. You're going to get back what you put out there. If you say other people are disrespectful or rude and you treat people disrespectful or rude, you're going to get back that same energy. And I don't think that that's good. I really don't. I don't think that it's good to just say because I'm older I'm entitled to to gain your respect. If you're rude, ain't nobody gonna respect you, and that's real. They don't want to. They don't want to believe that. And I used to get into some. I used to put myself in some some situations as a youth because I've always been a fighter for justice. Hey, African Dreamin', welcome. How you doing? Happy Wednesday. I've always been a fighter for justice. I've been fighting my whole life. Now I just fight in a different way. But just because a person is older, it don't mean I'm gonna respect you. It if you're not moving the right way, if your vibe is off, and I teach my nieces and young people and people I mentor pay attention to a person's moves and their actions, pay attention to the vibes of other people and not just what they say. Because people can say a lot of things, but their actions is whack. So I don't care what people talk about. Respect your elders. I think it is important to respect elders, but I respect the ones that earn the respect. If you don't earn that respect, or you're weird, or your vibe is off, or you're a disrespectful person, you ain't gonna get no respect from me. And I teach my nieces that too. I teach my nieces that, you know, because it happens a lot. It happens a lot that younger people following behind, trying to be respectful. You get yourself in a situation to where you get taken advantage of, and they know that because you don't know, you know, you don't know about standing up for yourself, and you don't know about wrong things because a lot of older people aren't preparing the youth, you know, for real life. You got to talk to children real. Like, there's some weird people. There's dangerous people out here. And I want you to pay attention. And if anybody make you feel uncomfortable, you need to get away from them and stay away from them and tell somebody that you can trust. And if you don't have those type of conversations with younger people, they're going to think that they have to listen to everything an older person says, and you don't. When needed, no, you should always stand up for yourself, Riaz, all the time. But I just um, that's just how I feel. I get mad. I get mad a lot of times. I get mad a lot of times when I hear older people demanding respect from younger people, and some older people is just like their vibe is off, and it's been off their whole life. They haven't lived a life to get respected. They've always done whack things. They've always done underhanded, cutthroat things, and then they feel like because they got to whatever age it is, 60, 70, 80, 90, now everybody must respect me, but that's not how it works. I'm a definite believer in what goes around comes around. So if you keep putting out underhanded and cutthroat things, one day you're going to need somebody. One day you're going to need somebody. Everybody. A younger person's going to need somebody. An older person's going to need somebody. And if you keep putting out those bad vibes out in the universe, when you really need some help and you need somebody to come to your aid, you will not get it. You will not get it because people may not always remember what you said, but what is it Maya Angelou said? But people will always remember how you made them feel. And when you make people feel bad about themselves, you make people feel that they're less than, you make people feel that their opinions don't matter, you make people feel like they're stupid. People don't forget that. People are intelligent, and especially young people. They're intelligent. You may not remember everything that they said to you, but you will always remember how somebody made you feel. Somebody who always respected you, asked you your opinions, move that type of way. That's one of the reasons why my dad, even though he is not here anymore, my dad always respected my opinion. And that's why he will always be my best friend, because he always tried to get in my head. And we used to have very intellectual conversations about things, to not just stay on the vibe, as being a girl, now a woman, you do think with your emotions. And my dad used to get in my head and tell me, you know, yes, it's good to have your emotional side, but you can't think with your emotions. You got to think with on a business mindset, or you got to think what is best for me. And sometimes it's just not even worth it. So, and a lot of people out there are not even worth you putting in your emotions and sharing how you feel and what you like. It just some it's best to walk away from those people, because they just will pull from you all of your energy and power, and they don't care. And they don't care how you feel. Absolutely, Eunice. Absolutely. And they don't care how you feel. Yeah. Yeah, that happens too, Riaz. However, it is that you want to cope with it. You do what's best for you. Hey, DJ Ron. Welcome in. How you doing? Happy Wednesday to you. And that's where how I operate. that's how I operate these days. When I was younger, I always wanted to control what somebody else thought. I had a problem with control. I wanted to be control of how people talk to me, what they used to say, what they used to do, and you can't control that. You can't control what somebody else thinks. You can't control what somebody believes. You can't change that part. You can't make people support you. You can't make people love you. You can't make people understand you. I personally believe either somebody wants to support you, be there for you, love you, understand you because they want to, because they care about you. And some people just don't care about you. Some people, it's all about them. And if they can't use you, then they can't love you. And I don't have time for that toxicity. I got off that. I got off that vibe way back in '07, and I've been better ever since. You got to get off that vibe of worrying about what somebody else wants and what somebody else likes. You got to get on your own plane of understanding and reasoning, and make yourself happy. And for so long, I was letting other people control my emotions, letting other people control what I thought about myself. I only define myself through the eyes of other people. And I love to tell younger people, please learn from me. Don't punish yourself. Don't punish yourself because somebody else doesn't like you. That does not make me your less because other people don't like what you're saying or the way that you're flowing. Some people it's jealousy. Some people they don't understand you. Some people just they don't care about you. There's lots of reasons why people are the way they are. But one thing is don't let people poison you into their thinking. Don't let people take you backwards. And I always will appreciate my dad for that, for teaching me that, to not let people's poison uh, take you down. Don't think that you're less than because they're not where they want to be, and that's what people will do. And a lot of older people will do that, especially if they can't do things for themselves anymore or they didn't do what they wanted to. They take it out on younger people because they can't operate the way that they used to, or they didn't do what they wanted to when they were younger. So I want to talk to the younger people. Don't stop being yourself. Don't stop going after your dreams because other people don't see it. I also say that to the older people and the adults. It's not over until it's really over. Until you make a decision to say you don't want to do anything, you can do it. And it does not matter your age, and it doesn't matter what you have been through. You can always elevate, but it's a personal choice that you got to make for yourself. So that's all I wanted to come on here to say. I ain't going to hold y'all for too much longer. Just wanted to say, what's up, gems? And I hope y'all are doing well. And I hope everybody has had a great week so far. We halfway through the week. We got how many days left in the week? And I hope you make it great. Make your week great. Make your day great. And just to also end on this thought about respecting elders, is it old fashioned? I think that depends on you. What you think. How do you view elders? How do you view yourself? You gotta respect who you are. No matter if you're a younger person or you're an elder, you can always open up your mind and listen to a perspective, even if it's different from yours. That's how you grow. That's how you elevate. You know, and that's how you maintain your peace. Don't let anybody tell you who you are. Define who you are by your actions. I'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks everybody for supporting. Thank you for the likes. Thank you to all my new subscribers. I appreciate all my gems. and stay tuned tomorrow for a brand new vlog. I appreciate y'all. Have a great rest of your day, your week, your month, or whenever you're catching this video if you are watching the replay. Thank y'all so much.